Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and I especially want to thank Mitch and Jason for hosting, and also really want to thank our sponsors. You know, it is so cool to see all these women come together, and it is so important that we have these amazing sponsors that have really put this together for us and allowed us to put this event on for free so that we can get as many people as possible to tune in and support the women of our industry. It's just a really powerful and cool thing to be a part of, and I'm really excited and honored to be here today.
Absolutely, we are honored to have you. So I'm going to turn over the screen to you so you can do your presentation, and then I'll jump in at the end and see if we have any questions.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Well, everybody, today we are going to be talking about how to keep a customer for life. So giving you a little bit of background on myself, just for some context, I started in the mortgage industry just after high school. I actually was raised by a real estate agent, and I assisted a loan officer at a top producing mortgage brokerage here in my hometown, Simi Valley, California, here in Southern California. And I've had about 2 decades here in the business to kind of work my way up from just about every position in the business, from setup through processing, underwriting, funding, doc drawing, you name it, I've done it. And I think that the reason that that's important and how that plays into what we're going to be talking about today is that I try to set my expectations of my team based on what I know is possible. It gives me a unique perspective as a leader because I lead with empathy and understanding of not just the customer's perspective, but my team. And I think that this sets the tone for the culture in my company because it attracts the kind of loan officers and support staff that share our passion for the customer and for our borrowers. Whether you're a team of 1 or a team of 20, creating customers for life starts with knowing that every person who interacts with your customer cares about them as much as you do. So what drives us? Well, first and foremost, we're here to serve our customers. And I personally, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I love what I do. To me, every loan is a puzzle, and every single customer that I work with has a story. And whether it's the first, second, third, or fourth time that I worked with a customer, I remember their story. And I think that helping consumers with what I think we can all agree is one of the largest transactions of their lifetime is an honor, and it's a huge responsibility. And I think as experts, we shouldn't take that lightly. So for me, part of what I do is I do a lot of learning every day to hone my craft and be the best advisor that I can be. And that means staying up to date on guidelines and changes and knowing all of the programs that are out there so that I'm more than just a call center loan officer that, stays inside the box and only offers a small window of loan options. Part of being a mortgage broker, and those of you that know me know how involved I am with and the Brokers Are Better community, know that I really believe at my core that brokers are better because we are a one-stop shop for so many options for our consumers. And the only way to be the best advisor is really to remain educated and remain on the forefront of what is out there for our clients. And so with that, I think offering advice and bringing value to our clients without asking for anything in return really is what builds that trust with our customers. And that simple act results in repeat business and an overwhelming amount of referrals. And this has proven itself time and time again over the 20-odd years that I've been in the business. We have a substantial database. We've got over 8,000 people in our database, ranging from referral partners like realtors, financial planners, and CPAs, to past clients. And many of our clients have continued to refer business to us up to and including their children and even their grandchildren, which is a really cool thing to experience. Whether they're purchases or refinances, the overwhelming majority of the loans in our active pipeline right now come from that database. That same database has driven and sustained this company through all of the market swings for the past 20 years. And I think that that is the value. The value of our database is in the data that we keep. And that is most of what I'm going to be talking about today. So since the very beginning, since 20 plus years ago, the one thing that we have done differently and consistently is we have methodically tracked the data in our database. We have maintained every contact. We have kept in touch regularly with every single client and referral partner, and we have kept up to date with their information. So whenever we learn of something that's changed, we update it. We always have the latest loan information based on what we last closed. And I'm a huge believer that this consistency is what the driving force has been behind the power of this database. So how do we keep track? Well, it's our CRM. I'm a huge believer that whether you have one and don't use it, or you haven't gotten started, it's never too late to begin using a CRM. And don't feel that just because you're, let's say, a year into the business or even 5 or 10 years into it, that it's too late. It is never, ever too late to start using a CRM. So I get asked all the time, what's the best CRM? And all my broker friends are going to laugh because we all get asked this and we always have the same answer. It's the one you use. But what does that mean? Well, what it means is that there are a bunch of CRMs out there and they all have their pros and cons. But what you need to do is test them out and find the one that you think you're going to actually use. Find one that you're comfortable with. Find one that you think is practical enough for you that you're actually going to commit to using it. Because honestly, the CRM is the cornerstone of my database and what has actually allowed us to continue to thrive as a company through, as I've said before, every market turn that we have seen over the last couple of decades. So client relationship management systems, have all sorts of different features. But for us, here are the things that I have found are the basics. Follow up. Every single contact in our CRM has a stage. We stage every active lead. So it's, application sent, it's pre-approved, it's, client documents received. This tells us where we are at in the process to client and what the next steps are. And every active lead has a follow-up date based on the conversation with the client and what the stage is. And every lead has a referral source. We tag and track every single client. This helps us keep in touch with the client and also keep in touch with the client, but also regularly update the referral source, especially if it's a realtor or someone who's going to stay involved in the transaction. And it helps us track where the majority of our business is coming from and remember who to thank each and every time a referral comes in. It's not just when the loan closes, but every time somebody refers somebody to us, there's a thank you going out to that individual. So all of this CRM management allows the sales team to time block and manage their day, ensuring that they get to all of our clients without missing the opportunity to work on new business. Part of creating customers for life also means expanding your database to add more customers. So I talk a lot in lots of the videos I do and lots of the panels I speak on about playing the long game, not losing sight of building your business while we're in the throes of a refinance boom like we are right now. And anybody that's been in the business longer than a minute has probably been in a refi boom before, although some of us will tell you that this might be the biggest one we've ever seen. But this is the time not to lose sight of the long game, guys. This is the time to always commit to being proactive about business building activities. If you are focusing solely on the refis and what's going on in the moment, and a friend of mine, Anthony Casa, has talked about this many times over the last, 8 months, and many of our other industry leaders have said the same thing. Guys, do not stop the business building activities. Do not lose sight, because all good things will come to an end. Our business is a cycle. It is a roller coaster. Guys, this refi boom will not last forever. And in 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever the timing is, the refis will begin to kind of wane and we're going to be back in a purchase market again. And if you're not doing the things today to set your business up to sustain itself beyond this inflated refi market that we're in, then you're going to find yourself really selling yourself short. And so my suggestion to you would be time blocking your day. Always carve out a little bit of time every single day for prospecting, no exceptions. simple sales metrics tell us that it takes so many calls to get a lead, and so many leads to get an appointment, so many appointments to get an application, and so many applications to get an actual closed loan. One of my mentors and somebody that I highly respect, Renee Rodriguez, talks about this all the time. He talks about, making sure that you're making your daily calls and making sure at the end of every day how many numbers are in that box, how many calls did you make, how much sales activity did you do. So set your weekly and monthly goals, decide what you want to close, and then work backward from that number to figure out what business building activities you actually need to do, so that you're setting aside the time every single day to focus on those activities, so that you're not just maintaining the business that you already have, but you're making progress towards something greater. So let's talk a little bit about marketing, because obviously, marketing is a big part of this. And Kelsey obviously covered this far better than I ever will, but I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things at a high level that are working for us, that are kind of building some new business for us that I think might help you too. So again, I've talked so much about consistency in many of the panels I've been on. I do reach out consistently and with reliable frequency. I send out a weekly mortgage update to our database via email, but then I also cross-post it to all of the social media platforms. And this is something I do every week where I'm providing value of some sort, and I never, ever ask for business. I don't even put really like any kind of contact information or, call us now type of an ask there. I'm always covering a topic that comes up in questions from our clients. So a couple of weeks ago, I did a mock, went online to one of the online lenders and pretended to rate shop as a client. And I showed them what it looks like when you go to an online lender and you see one of the advertised rates and you click on the disclaimers, and a huge page of what the advertised rate really means comes into play. And you notice that it's actually at a 2.5% cost, and it's based on a 50% loan to value and a $100,000 loan amount and a credit score of 840, and all of these things that really only apply to a tiny percentage of the actual consumer population. And what it does is it starts to educate consumers about some of the common misconceptions out there when they think they're comparing real rates, and in reality, they're only seeing things that are being advertised on the surface as kind of bait to get them in the door. And so these are the kinds of things that come up all the time with consumers, and I'm sure that any of you in the industry are experiencing the same thing. But when we educate our consumers without asking, we are establishing some credibility as experts in our field. And what happens is that people then begin to see us that way, and the first people they think of when they need mortgage advice is us. I get several inquiries every week and many referrals just based on putting that information out every week in social. I mean, social platforms are a huge, completely free way to put value out there and get referrals. So again, every week without fail, that update goes out. People know it. I've had one or two occasions with this whole pandemic situation going on where I haven't put it out, and I've gotten called out for it. I've actually gotten calls and emails from clients saying, "Hey, where's your weekly update?" So it's a big deal. People know it, and I would say again that consistency is a huge part of that. Believe it or not, I actually do send out snail mail about once a month, especially here in my community, because we have a little bit of a smaller kind of old-fashioned community, and some of our clients are in a demographic where snail mail will work for them. So good old US mail, now and then I'll go ahead and send out. I did recently I did a VA mailer in US mail. I sent out about 800 letters to some veterans out here, and actually got a pretty good response. It's all about kind of knowing your demographic and kind of knowing your market. And then social media updates every day. I have someone on my team who sends out something. And what I would say with this is, don't limit your content to just mortgage-related information. Part of building your brand is showing that you're invested in your community, and feature local events and highlight other local businesses. I mean, I have some favorite local businesses here in town. There's a specific small business. It's a coffee shop out here that I love, and I genuinely love them, and I go there all the time. And so, occasionally when I'm there, I'll I'll tag them and I'll make a big deal out of the fact that I'm there. And, you know, people in the community love them too. And so it's like, I'm really showing people that I'm a part of this community that I've lived in for my entire life. And it just establishes that you are ingrained in your local community, and people think of you when they think of mortgages in your town. And then consider joining some local community Facebook groups. I know it sounds kind of silly and some people might think it's hokey, but you would be surprised. Yesterday, I was tagged by 7 different people in a community post here in my city asking for recommendations for a mortgage broker. This potential client called me out of the blue, asked her who referred me, and she couldn't remember. She said that there were 7 different people. My name came up 7 times in one thread, and that led her to check out my company page. And then that led her to see that I was involved in the AIM Women's Mortgage Network. She was very, very impressed by the fact that there was a woman leader. These are just things that are tied to being involved in your community and involved with social media platforms. And about 2 hours later, she walked in the door to my office with all of her documentation. One of my inside loan officers took everything down and boom, locked refinance. So these things work, guys. It's not rocket science. This kind of goes back to the consistency thing again, right? So being present in your community, putting out regular content, establishing yourself as a trusted advisor, it works, but it only works if you're consistent. So if I only did that once every 90 days, chances are good that people would forget me. Be reliable. Make sure that they actually know where to find you when they need you. A good example of this, out here we have something called the money mailer, but you may also get like home improvement booklets or coupon packets in the mail. You know, you get services advertised for, you know, bathtub caulking, bathroom remodeling, window screen repair, or whatever. You know, the same companies every week or every couple of weeks are in this coupon mailer. And when you think about getting those services, you know exactly where to go. You go and grab the coupon mailer and you pull out the flyer or the coupon for that particular company. So if that company only advertised once or, you know, twice, and then you went to grab that coupon mailer and you were flipping through it and you couldn't find that coupon again, their advertising was a waste of money because you remembered them, but when you went to find them again, they were gone. Again, consistency. So the beauty of our business, in that it's so different from other businesses, is that everyone you meet is a potential customer. We aren't selling medical equipment. We're not selling chemicals or some other product or service where there's a limited customer base. Anyone you come in contact with is a potential customer. You should be getting everyone you meet's basic contact information. And what do you think you should do with that? Put it in your CRM. And don't forget to put some key details in there, like how you met the person and anything else that you can remember. And I'm going to give you some examples of why that's important. So we've grown so much over the years that we now have an entire team of in-house loan officers that handle the majority of our referral business. I don't even really actively originate anymore. Most of the time when I get a referral in, I actually hand it off to one of my in-house LOs. So one of the ways that we keep our client experience consistent and we don't lose that familiar process, that feeling that they're part of our family, is that we make very specific notes about every client. So if I know that Mary and John bought their very first house with us in 2014, and at the time they were expecting their first child and it was a girl, I make a note about that. That way, when Mary calls about another loan and my loan officer Angela takes the call, she can look the notes up and she can tell Mary, we remember you. You worked with Jamie. You guys bought your first house with us. How is your daughter? Mary knows that she was important to us. We know her story. She's more than just a number, a person we did a loan for once and then forgot about. It's important. It makes the difference. These are simple things that you can do to build a trusting, long-lasting relationship with your clients that makes them come back time and time again and makes them feel as important as they are to you and to everybody in your company. All of the things that we're talking about just get us to the point where we have a potential client. What do you do to earn the business when you have an interested customer? Well, if they're a referral, they should be very easy. These are some of the easiest leads to convert. But the next piece of the puzzle is really to offer well-informed and credible advice. Part of this goes back to what we talked about in our opening roundtable this morning, which is listening to your client. Take the time to understand their goals and translate them into something that they can use to get them on the path toward achieving those goals. You know, we have to hear what our customers need and understand how to communicate with them in a way that they can receive. So when I talk to a customer or when I coach my loan officers on how to do the same thing, I always figure out how my customers best receive information. And then without fail, I always encourage the team to follow up with an email to memorialize the conversation, and then give them not just a recap of what we discussed, but roadmap the next steps and give them some timing and some expectations. By and large, most customers, especially first-time homebuyers, really don't have any idea of what to expect. And there is a sense of comfort when you're able to, again, establish yourself as that trusted advisor and then give them something to kind of hold on to kind of hang their hat on and say, okay, now I have a plan. Now I know what to expect next. This is really, again, what sets you apart from those, I call them headset jockeys at the call centers. When you take the time to listen and learn about the needs of your client and you give the guidance that you've been trained to offer and you are the expert, you've done 10 times more than the average call center loan officer who's honestly not going to take the time to do that. So when it comes to loans in process, we are a lot different than a lot of other companies. And I want to talk a little bit about that because I'm starting to talk with more of my colleagues in the industry, and I'm starting to hear that other companies are taking this approach more and more. So once a loan is disclosed here and a file is sent into our processing department, sales is out of the equation unless there's a rate or a program issue that needs to be resolved. So our processing team basically handles every condition, reviews the estimated closing statement with our customers prior to signing the closing documents, and pretty much takes the file over the finish line. So I'm a firm believer, having been on both the operations side and in sales, that keeping sales focused on origination activity and is proven over the years that the client experience is top notch when we move their loan through the process, like a very friendly, and I'm stressing friendly, conveyor belt with a warm handoff from one stage to the other. But the only way to treat a loan like a conveyor belt without losing the client experience is to make sure that we are telling the client what to expect and giving them the warm handoff at every step. And we do that in our company with some automated emails at every stage. But if you have a smaller company, you can do that with phone calls or emails manually from your staff. Again, consistency and communication is the key. And then when our loans close, our loan officers come back in to be the hero, to be the good news guys, and basically chime in to congratulate the customer. And they ask for referrals and they ask for Google and Yelp reviews at that time. And then at about the 90-day mark after the loan closes, we check in again with our clients, and it serves two purposes. One, in a refi-driven market like we're in right now, it tells us whether our clients are considering a refinance. There are other lenders out there soliciting people like mad right now, buying trigger leads, buying lists, looking at recently closed loans. Early payoff penalties for mortgage companies are a big, big risk for everyone, especially in this market. And so by contacting our clients at the 90-day mark, we can get a real sense of where our clients are. And if we get a sense that they're looking at a refinance, we can manage that process and mitigate our risk. And it also gives us another opportunity to ask for referrals and keep that line of communication open. So in closing, creating this experience as customer for life, it's not rocket science. There's no magic to it. And if you take nothing else from today, remember that consistency in communication and in marketing and in follow-up in just about every avenue of what we do is really the key to establishing long-term relationships that bring you repeat business and referrals. And so I have a challenge for you. I challenge you to commit to doing one business building activity and one marketing activity every single day without fail, even on days when you don't feel like it and when you think you're too busy. And I promise you that it will pay off in the long run. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jamie. I would say that, you know, a saying that's overused but is very important is consistency is key in anything you do. You know, and people are going to learn that with a lot of people working from home, a lot of kids, you know, home for, you know, homeschooling like we're doing is it's easy just to let them, do their own thing and do schoolwork when they feel like they need to, but consistency is key. Get people on a schedule and get things done, and everybody will be better for it. And that includes you personally, and of course your business will be better for it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let me see if we got any questions here. Just comments. So it looks like you did well. People enjoyed your talk. So
I'll put my contact information in the comments. You can connect with me on Instagram at @TheOneJamieC, and would absolutely welcome anybody that wants to reach out anytime. I'd be more than happy. I'm always here to help, especially my fellow brokers. So